Let's talk about Iran because this is not a good situation, obviously. Um, I can't do it. So, all right, so we're in the middle of a war with Iran. All right, yesterday we talked about, touched on it a little bit. This has been going on since, 19, I said 1980, and it actually started in 79. Um, but it was 400 and something days they were captured, hostage. That's not even including I think it was 8 people. If anybody's ever seen the movie Argo, with an incredible story. Doesn't seem real, but it did happen. Like, that's the lengths they had to go through, was create a fake movie production company, and the lengths that they went through. I saw a documentary about it. It was the movie Argo was very close to the truth. That's the lengths we have to go to deal with it. Well, that we did have to go to deal with these people. Okay, and for 50 fucking years, we've had to. How do they wear these things? For 50 fucking years, we've had to deal with their bullshit. And how many presidents has there been? So you got Carter, then you went to Reagan, then you went to HW. Who was after HW? Was it Clinton? It was Clinton, and then GW. Who was after him? Was it Obama? Then Trump, Biden, Trump. Is that right? I don't know. It's off the top of my head. It sounds right. But anyway, every one of them pussies. Reagan, you got to give Reagan a little credit, and I think Reagan gets too much credit for that, because Carter, as much of a wimp as Carter was, he did kind of set the deal up that did get the hostages released. There's a big misconception, and even when even at the time, I was young. What was this? 1980. I was 8 years old. But I remember. I mean, it was terrifying. This is like, this is what happens. This is like when you first, like, I was 8 years old. You first start. It's kind of your first kind of touch into the world and what the world is. Like, everything before that is cartoons. So you start to, like, catch little sniffs of the news. Like, I remember at the time, I'll never forget to this day. The thing that terrified me, the first time I really, like, understood what was going on with the Cold War. I still remember it was the news. I don't remember who it was. I think it was a local news, but they used to, like, when they're talking about, like, they're kind of prefacing the story they're about to talk about, and behind is, like, the picture of what they're talking about, and there was just these, like, 3 ICBMs, like intercontinental ballistic missiles, like, on the picture behind the person, and they all had the hammer and sickle, and it was meant to, like, instill fear so that you want to hear what's going to be said next, so you tune in, obviously. But as a kid, 8-year old, and you're just starting to learn stuff about this, and everybody's talking about Russia. Russia was the big evil in the world, and yeah, it scared me to death. That first time, I'll never forget that day. I saw that day. That night, I cried myself to sleep. I don't even know if I slept. Just thinking about, like, all these things going through my head, like, because you already know about what a nuclear war was. I don't remember this. I don't think they taught the whole hide under your desk thing in school when I was in school. Like, I think that was already, like, looked at, and they realized how laughable that was. But yeah, it was it was scary, and so I do remember seeing on the news the whole thing about the Iran hostages, and it went on for over a year. I mean, it was like, I think it was like 444 days. That doesn't seem right, but it was about something like that. It's just off the top of my head. But yeah, and these, all you remember was these screaming guys with these fucking things on their heads, death to America, right? So 50 fucking years, and no president had the balls to take him on. too worried about what it's going to do to the oil prices, too worried about, just these maniacs that took over a country that I don't even know if we knew like what they had as an arsenal or what. We know that they didn't have nukes. I mean, obviously, but they were fanatics. They were crazy, and they had no respect for life. So this is the start of this regime that we're dealing with today, and we allowed them to build their arsenal for 50 years. Like you look at Hitler. It took him what, from like the early 30s. Like when did he take over? Like he started getting into power in like 32, 30. I don't even think it was that early. I think it was like he had like a 5-year span where the Treaty of Versailles basically defanged them and declawed them and said you cannot have a standing army of more than like 100,000 men or something like that. You could not manufacture heavy artillery and tanks and anything like they couldn't. They were basically like neutered from 1918 until like the early 1930s, and Hitler rose to power during that time, and then he had like a 5-year span where he just went from 100,000 standing army to millions and the most technologically advanced army in the world. America didn't have an army. We didn't have shit. We had already, like, after World War One, we didn't want nothing to do with that. So we had basically defunded our army and got rid of, and we put our monies into natural industrialization. And so when you look at what Iran was allowed to do for the time they were allowed to do it, it's ridiculous. And all those presidents I mentioned did nothing about it because they were too afraid. They were too afraid what it was going to do to them politically. They were too afraid what they might do to the world economically and get blamed for. And they just let Iran do whatever the fuck they wanted. And they became so emboldened, Iran, from this, that they're where we're at today. They've, for the past couple decades, they're just fucking randomly just shooting missiles out, blowing shit up with reckless abandon, with impunity. Because they know, everybody thinks they're so crazy that we don't know what they're going to do, And their biggest mistake was just because they're such chest pounders, They're just saber rattlers, They want everybody to know because they have to act that way. Because when your people are so oppressed and so, you got your foot on their throat for this long, the equivalent is Saddam Hussein's Iraq. He had nothing. Like after the first Iraq war, we basically fucking cut his balls off, but he still had to act like he had, all the power and that he had held all the cards against America. And all he had to do was come out and say, fuck America, fuck Bush and all this shit. And his people would still be scared, thinking that he could, he might take over the world. These, we're talking about third world people here. So they're a lot more gullible and easily duped. And that's what we have with Iran right now. And they are done. They're done. They have nothing left. I gotta take this fucking thing off. All right, let me get to, that was a little joke. But they're done. Okay? They have no, wow, I can hear now. The thing was coming. How are those people, no wonder why they're always screaming, because you can't fucking hear with those things on your head. So, yeah, they're done. We wiped out their arsenal. If they're trying to fight back, and they're fighting back, right? If they were that serious about it, they wouldn't be firing 2-3 missiles here and a couple there. If they had this huge arsenal that they've been bragging and boasting about, they'd be firing missiles night and day. They are basically, those missiles are coming off the assembly line, getting dropped into a launcher and shooting right off the MC. They have nothing left, but they will never admit it, and they cannot admit it because they will be overthrown from within because their people hate them. You're talking about the Persians, okay? Iranian people are the ancient descendants of the ancient Persians, all right? Now Western civilization, we grew up, the victors write history, right? So we get all the Greek accounts of the battles, countless battles between the Greeks and the Persians. I mean, you got obviously the famous one is the 300, the Battle of Thermopylae, but there was you get the Battle of Marathon. You got how many they were just clashes. There was the powers from the east and the power of the west, and the Greeks weren't really considered a power at first. The Persians just thought they were just going to roll over them and absorb them like they used to do. But what you don't really hear about a lot is that the Persians weren't like a tyrannical empire. They would come in and they would give you the option. They would say, all right, we're coming here. We have the biggest army in the known world, and we're going to give you the option. I think it was like they do it in 300. It's like the sand and salt. It's like basically you offer sand for your land and salt for your sea, and you basically bend the knee. But when you did that, they let you basically keep your religions. They let you keep, basically your government as long as you stayed in line. But you could keep your way of life stayed the same as it was. Like, they were smart enough to know that. I respect the Persians. They were always, like, in history, they were always against the people that I, rooted for as a kid. Everybody likes the Greeks. Everybody likes Alexander the Great and King Leonidas. I mean, who doesn't fucking love that if you're, a white Anglo-Saxon or even just a Western, like a European? Everybody loves those stories. We love those. And the Persians were always the ones that, they were like their Soviet Union. Like, they were always like this big empire that was just coming in to take your wives and eat your children. But they weren't bad. They weren't a bad people. They are not the IRGC of today. The Persians are the people of Iran, okay? So if the IRGC ever shows a crack in their armor, a shred of weakness, a chink in the dragon scale, whatever you want to put it to, those people will rise up and they will fight them. They are oppressed. They are scared, all right? They get slaughtered by the hundreds and thousands on a daily basis. It's savage, and so that's why I say anybody that's against this war is doesn't know their history. Number one, hasn't like done any research on what's going on there today, and is really a fucking like an imbecile that doesn't understand that the Iranian people are the victims here by the IRGC. That is why what we're doing right now is precision bombing, and that's really all we can do, because we don't want to hurt the people. They are not the bad guys. It's the fucking regime, and they will consistently rattle their swords. And then when it comes to the bargaining table, that's like, I'm angry at the Trump administration for this. I mean, they need to put this down, all right? We gave them the carrot. We offered them the carrot. And they kept nibbling at it and making believe that they were going to eat the whole thing. But the whole time, they understand what's going on in America. They're trying to stall because they know that if Trump loses, if the Republican Party loses power in the midterms, things are going to change drastically as far as the foreign policy regarding Iran. I'm sorry. So, my thing is, if you are against the war with Iran, you're either a fucking teeny bopper that doesn't fucking know a thing about what used to happen, or you're just so old that you're probably going to die before anything fucking comes of this. Or, and I'm coming back to you, you fucking skanks, you're a white liberal woman who just thinks everybody should be embraced in the arms of American fucking generosity, and we should just throw money at them. We shouldn't be killing them. We should be throwing money at them. You need to just fucking move somewhere else. Go live in Cuba. You know, you fucking socialist, communist loving fucking retards. You know, go suffer down there with them. You know, and that's, all right, we'll get into Cuba in another episode. But yeah, that's my point. Is Iran deserved this. They've had this coming for a fucking long time, and the only problem I have right now is that Trump is being too fucking soft, and I don't know why. Because everything tells you that he should be dealing with this with a swift and hard hand. And just he said it. You know, he said it. And I think I explained in my last video, I haven't always been a Trump fan. You know, he's won me over with his policies and his I want to call that, what's that girl's name? Haley Stevens. That I'm gonna stick to it of this. Like that lady that's running in fucking Maine or Michigan, wherever the fuck she's, that crazy fucking lady. Yeah, he needs to stick to it and finish the job right now. Okay, no mercy. Go Cobra Kai on these motherfuckers and just put them down for good. The Iranian people will thank us for it. The world will thank us for it. The world economy will get instantly better. You know, and these fucking Democrats that just use they put politics over common sense, and it's just they're just looking for any way to put another dig into Trump. And if you don't see that yet, you got some serious fucking problems. And if you don't agree with me, fucking comment me. I'd love, look, I got plenty of room here. And this isn't, like I said, I'm in a hotel. When I get back, I got plenty of room. I will debate anybody that disagrees with this. Iran needs to go. Iran needs to go down, and they need to go down now. We're not just disarming them anymore, all right? They all need to die. Death to Iran. Death to Iran. Death to the IRGC. Love for the Persian people, because the Persians are one of the first civilized people in the world, and I'll stand by that. And I really hope, for their sake, that this gets settled soon. That's all I gotta say. And if you hate Trump, fuck you. And if you're not listening to me, who the fuck am I?